Hello people of the YouTube world and all who are watching this. I am Mackenzie 901K. In today's video, we are going to be wrapping up what I read in September and October. I've said it once and I'll say it again, spooky season is officially over. I don't know how to feel about that. I did not really get to read all of the spooky books that I wanted to read. To be fair though, I have been battling a reading slump since the middle of September. We read 13 books between September and October, which is not my best reading month, but it's also not my worst. So I think without any further ado though, let's go ahead and jump right on into the books that I read. So starting out in September, the first book that I read was The Wicked Deep by Shay Earnshaw. This book is following our main character, Penny. Penny lives in this town where every year these sisters come back during this certain period of time called Swan Season. They come back, they haunt this place, they take over girls' bodies, they haunt boys, and they kill some of them. Overall, it was enjoyable. I will say this is my first Shay Earnshaw book, and I think that I definitely eventually want to try to read more from Shay Earnshaw because I was really impressed. I had a really fun time with this book. I thought it was a really fun time. I don't really have any bad thoughts about it. The pacing was perfect. Everything about this book was just so fun overall, and I really enjoyed where the story kind of went to. I thought the ending took a very interesting turn, so I don't really feel like I loved the ending, but everything else was so fun, and I would recommend this book for the time period in between summer and autumn because while it takes place in summertime, it's such a fall-esque book because it's raining. It gives forks. With the weather, it gives forks. So overall, I was really impressed with this book, and I definitely think that it is perfect for that time period. Then the next book that we read is Wild Eyes. This is the second book in the Rose Hill series. This is by Elsie Silver, and you all know I am a huge Elsie Silver fan. Well, I was gonna say clearly, but you all can't see the Elsie Silver part of my shelf, but this one is following our main characters, Weston and Skylar. From what I remember of this book, it was really funny. The way that they meet is honestly really funny. So they meet when Skylar is like taking a picture of this bear, and I just thought that that was so funny. I don't really think that's a spoiler. It literally takes place in the first chapter, so I'm not going to count that as a spoiler, but pretty much we're following Skylar, who is like a musician. Skylar has kind of had enough of the life as a musician and a pop star. She finds herself in Rose Hill because she is wanting to work with a recording studio there, and she needs a place to stay. Weston is a single dad. He's a fun character, and overall, I had a really fun time with this. I ended up giving Wild Eyes a 4 out of 5 stars. I think that this book was so perfect, and I cannot wait to see because the next book kind of gets built up in here a little bit, so I cannot wait to see how that one like takes a turn and what direction we go in with that. So overall, it was really fun and really enjoyable, and you know, you can never go wrong with an Elsie Silver book, and I'm so glad that I'm having such a fun time with this series because I was really worried going into this that I wasn't going to love it because I loved Chestnut Springs so much, but this was fun. This series so far has been really good. It's not been a 5-star series. It has been fun, and that's all that you could really want in a romance book series. Next up, we have probably one of my biggest disappointments of the year, and that is Thrown in the Dark. This book was in my video where Katie picked my reads for a week. Katie hyped, out of all the books that I read in that video, Katie hyped this one up the absolute most, and I was so sad that I did not love this book. I can't even really tell you what this is about other than there's this Dark Lord guy, and I forgot his name. I think it's, yeah, okay, his name is Damien. And then there's this girl whose name is Alma. She's got like that bubbly personality, whereas Damien is really like closed off and kind of like stern and just not really like ever wanting to have a good time. So they meet and she ends up, I believe, stealing something from him, and somehow she ingests this. I can't even really remember how. So they go throughout the whole book trying to pretty much get this out of her without having to like kill her. My problems with this book were I really thought that this book was just really boring. That was my biggest issue. I just could not get behind it. I did not care about our love interest. I did not care what was going to come next. I just did not care enough. So I ended up giving this book a 3.5. I think what saved it for me was the ending. The ending kind of took like a really interesting turn that I was not expecting at all from this book. So I was really impressed with that. But as far as everything else in the book, no. And it was kind of like a traveling book where most of the story took place. They were going from place to place. And like, I just really found myself like not caring. I don't know if this was like the start of the book slump and that's why I didn't enjoy it. I don't know. I was really heartbroken not to love this like I thought I was going to. I definitely, next time I go into books like this, need to readjust my expectations, because the month before that I read Assistant to the Villain and it's like the same kind of like plot, and I thought it was really fun, and it had like that bubbly girl main character and like a grumpy guy main character, and it was fun. I think it was more on the comedic side, whereas that book, it tried to be comedic, but I thought a lot of it just fell flat for me overall. So overall, I didn't enjoy Throne of the Dark. It is what it is. They can't all be winners. In that same video though, I did read A Darker Shade of Magic, and I did give this book a 5-star. I think I gave this book a 5-star a little too quickly now. I think maybe looking back on this book, I would give it like a 4.75, but I'm not going to change it. I'm going to leave it as a 5-star because it was really fun when I read it, but I don't find myself really thinking about this series too much. Like if it gets brought up in conversation, wow, okay, fun. But it's not really, it is memorable, but it's not really sticking with me. So in this one, we're following our main character, Kel, and in this world, there are like 4 different Londons, and one of the Londons fail. There's Red London, White London, Black London, and Grey London. Black London fail. Pretty much you go throughout this whole story following Kel, and Kel is trying to get this piece of magic back over to Black London, and he runs into this girl named Lila, and we all really love Lila here. I'm a big fan of her. I think she is one of the reasons why I love this book so much. Her and Kel, just their character build, I'm obsessed with. I think that they are some of my favorite characters. I don't know really why I gave this book a 5-star though, other than I think I was just like in the moment really excited to read this book, and it kept me entertained, kept me on my toes, but I just don't think it gave me that 5-star feeling like I wanted it to, or like I thought it did to begin with. I'm gonna leave it as a 5-star. I'm gonna put it on here as a 5-star. I got a little ahead of myself with that one. The last book I read in September, and the last book I read in that video, was Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. This is my second book by Alex E. Harrow. Out of Starling House and The 10,000 Doors of January, I don't really know which one I liked more, if I liked one more at all, because these two books just kind of fell flat for me. So this one, we're following our main character, Opal, and Opal's kind of always had this obsession with Starling House. Like, it started when she was younger. As she got older, the obsession kind of subsided for a little bit, but then as time went on, she found herself back into this house, and there's a bunch of weird stuff going on in this house. Like the walls seem to be like talking, and the house is doing these things, and you kind of go throughout the whole book wondering, is this house actually alive? Like, is this actually happening, or is this just kind of like a kooky dream? That part of the book I loved. What I didn't love about the book was I find with Alex E. Harrow's books, like the first part of the book, strong. You go in, it's strong, it's good. Then you get to the middle, and then it starts to go on a decline, and then the ending, it was okay. It was a very interesting ending. It was not like one of my favorite endings ever, but it was still enjoyable enough for me to give it a 3.75 star. I definitely enjoyed this one more than I enjoyed Thrown in the Dark in that video, so it was a win for me. I would consider this a win. It's not my favorite book ever, but I would recommend this to somebody if you're looking for a good, interesting haunted house read. Overall, it just was not for me, and I'm so sad about that because I thought I was gonna have such a good time with it. Alas, I didn't. So, and then at the start of October, we read The Witch Collector. Now, this book, I don't know what to say about it. Like, what do you want me to say? It is literally, at this point, like every other fantasy romance that I've read, and I think that I am needing to take a break from fantasy romance because they're starting to feel really repetitive. I don't appreciate that. So this one, we are following our main character, Raina. Raina is a witch, and there is this like collecting day, and pretty much every year the witch collector comes and he takes a witch for the Frost King. Her sister got taken by the witch collector a few years ago, and ever since then she has wanted vengeance against him. Well, come collecting day, she's ready to act on it, and then something happens, some type of battle happens, and she finds herself as an unlikely ally to the witch collector, which that aspect, again, I loved it, and I really love, his name is Alexis. I really loved him, and I do definitely think that at some point I may want to continue this to see where the story goes, because we did leave off on a very interesting note, and we got introduced to some characters at the end, which I was real happy about because I was very excited to kind of see where those characters went. I really didn't care about the characters too much, but I was excited to maybe potentially get more about the characters than what we got in this book. We got a lot of Raina and Alexis and not a lot of anybody else. So we will see if I end up picking up the rest of that series. I don't know. It was fun. I gave it a 4 star. I had fun with it. It just felt so repetitive. I just feel like I have read so much fantasy romance this year that I need to find joy in another genre for a little bit, because I think that may be the root of my book slump. So the next book that I read was the Seance Tea Party. This is a cutie little graphic novel that is so perfect if you want to get out of a reading slump. It had a really good plot. It had a really good main character. Pretty much Alexa, she is a young girl, and I think she's right on the brink of becoming a teenager. Like, I think she's like 12. She just wants to play. Like, that's all she wants to do. She doesn't want to be involved in all of these new types of social norms for her age, like talking about clothes and boys and whatever else came with being a 12-year-old girl in this book. She just wanted to play and play make-believe and just have friends that wanted to play and not wanted to mold into the way society was trying to shape the rest of these children. So she meets this ghost. Laura is the ghost's name. She was so cute. This book overall was so heartwarming. I loved it so much. So she and Laura just continue to learn and grow, and Alexa learns what it's like to grow up. You just kind of
Being a grown-up is a lot of work, but it's very rewarding and well worth the effort.
Well, that's good. She just said that. Anyway, it's a coming of age story. I'll leave it at that. It is a very heartwarming coming of age story. And when you find a good coming of age story, especially like going through that, now being on the other side of a standard coming of age story, I can look back with books like this and cherish and just think about what my life was like then. And I related a lot to her. So I really love this. I think I ended up giving this, what did I give this? I ended up giving this a 4.5. It was so perfect. It was almost a 5-star. Honestly, I don't know what deterred me from giving it a 5-star. I really don't remember. The ending was very sad. I'm not gonna lie. I teared up a little bit. But it was still really good and really fun, and I loved it so much. Next up, we have Garlic and the Witch. This is the second book in the Garlic and the Vampire series, and we are once again following our little friend Garlic, who has to go on a new adventure. And this adventure is very unique because Garlic is also kind of going through some stuff in her life as well, and some changes she never really thought coming. And it was so fun to watch her navigate through all of these changes and see some of our old friends like Carrot, the Witch, Count, all of them. It was such a fun little book to read, and it sadly, I believe, is going to be the end of the Garlic and the Witch series. It was just so wholesome as always. This is a series that I will forever cherish and probably will try to reread during as many spooky seasons as I can, because it's honestly just the perfect palate cleanser when it comes to switching in and out between books or going between genres. This book is perfect to keep you engaged because it's not too long. It's pretty short, and then it just has like such a sweet story and art style, and overall it was perfect. Then next up, we read The Ex-Hex, another Katie pick. Pretty much for the most part, because fun story with this book, I have not read this book fully through. I've tried to read it 3 different years. This is the first year I've been able to completely read it from, well, actually no, I did not read it from start to finish. I started where I picked it up last year, and I'm very glad that I finished this book. Is it a new favorite? No. But did I really enjoy kind of where it went and like the story? Yes. It was overall just an enjoyable, quaint read. You didn't have to really focus with this book. You could just read it and have a good time and just vibe. That's all it was. It was a vibe. So this one we're following Vivi, and Vivi, a few years ago, she decided to put a curse on her ex-boyfriend. She did have a little bit of vodka mixing in with this witchcraft, so she really ends up thinking that she doesn't really end up cursing him. Well, he comes back into town and Vivi sees him for the first time since that night happened, and some weird stuff starts going down. They figure out that he may after all be cursed, so they do go on this journey trying to get him uncursed. Pretty much for the most part. They go and figure out how in the world are we going to uncurse him because it's affecting the town and things like that. So it was a good read. It really was. If you are looking for a fun little read to read on the week of Halloween or even on Halloween, this is perfect because it's so short and it's pretty much straight to the point. I mean, it's bingeable unless you're me and you try to read it one year, then about halfway through you put it down, then you pick it back up again the next year and you put it back down, and then you have to start the very next year where you put it back down at. Then it might not be so bingeable, but for anybody else who's not me, it's bingeable. I had a fun time with that book as well. I don't really have any complaints about it. It just really wasn't for me specifically, but it was fun, and I did end up giving it a 4-star, I think. Yeah, so there you go. It was fun and I enjoyed it. for the most part. And then next up we read a book that I feel like I should give a 5-star at this point because I gush over this book so much. I loved it. This book was so fun. This is A Dark and Secret Magic. Y'all, if you are looking for a book to read throughout any point during Halloween week, like the week leading up to Halloween, pick this book up. You will not be disappointed. If you are looking for something that is cozy but still has a really strong plot with it, this is for you. This is 100,000% for you. I cannot express how much I love this book. This one we are following Hecate. I believe that's how you pronounce her name. And Hecate she's a hedge witch. And pretty much hedge witches are just like, I honestly low-key want to say like a necessity in covens because she provides like sanctuary, and I think she does a lot of herbal stuff as well with her spells and a lot of gardening and things like that. So one day this witch guy shows up from I believe he's from a rival coven, and his name is Matthew. Also, I should probably put in here that the book opens up with Hecate having this dream, and it is a person in her coven coming to talk to her and tell her to read this book and to find out these secrets and to see why her mom insured her to be a hedge witch so long ago, and just to figure out what that's all about. The next day she finds out that that person that she's seen in her dream dies. She goes throughout the whole book trying to figure out what in the world she's talking about and why her mom decided to declare her a hedge witch. And then enter Matthew, and Matthew's like, I'm here, I need sanctuary, and she's like, get out of my house. And he pulls the you're a hedge witch card. Absolutely not. So he's here, and he's really fun. Overall, I really love this. I really love this. This was so perfect for the spooky season. I could not have picked a better book. And you best believe, I'm going to be reading this book again next year because I loved it that much. I really last year loved The Nature of Witches. I think this might have topped that for me as like my Halloween book because I love this. And if you're looking for a cozy book, and it starts, did I mention that it starts 6 days before Halloween? Mic drop. And then we picked up City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab. This book was also really fun, and I did not expect to love this as much as I did. This one we're following Cass, and something interesting happens to Cass one day. She pretty much nearly dies. From that day forward, she can see ghosts. Not only can she see ghosts, but she can see what happens to them and why they become ghosts. And she can go like in between like the veil. That is a really interesting concept, and I was very intrigued to see how Victoria Schwab pulled this off with it being a juvenile book. Did I mention that this is a middle grade book? I don't think so, but I'm putting it in now. This is a middle grade. And I really loved it. I was really interested with that whole concept to see how she was going to put it in a middle grade. And it was the perfect level of spooky, but also not so scary. It had those spooky elements. There were these times where it was a little unsettling, but not scary. That's what I really loved about this book. And I definitely want to continue this series. I did end up going and purchasing this one and the next one in the series because I really loved it that much. I ended up giving this book a 4.25 out of 5 stars. It was fun, it was really good, and it left off on a very interesting cliffhanger. So I'm intrigued to see how the next books go, but this was a great start. And then we read The Pumpkin Spice Cafe. I could not go another October without reading The Pumpkin Spice Cafe because I actually got it on my Kindle last year, right when I had first heard about it. I was very intrigued by it. Then I seen some negative comments, and the negative comments just kind of like kept me from picking it up. So I decided not to, but I'm so glad that I did this year because I did really end up enjoying it. It was lighthearted. It was a love letter to Gilmore Girls. and that is the best way that I can describe this book, is a love letter to Gilmore Girls. So in this book, we're following Jenny, and Jenny gets gifted this pumpkin spice cafe by her Aunt Dot, and she picks up the place, starts running it again, and she ends up having some interesting situations in this cafe. Poor girl. She goes through it with this cafe. Like, she thinks at one point this cafe is haunted. So she enlists the help of the local farmer, Logan. Logan is 100% Luke made over. And this book, like I said, is just a love letter to Gilmore Girls. In the beginning, it literally says, it has a little like author's note here. It says, if you ever wished you lived in Stars Hollow, or that Luke and Lorelai would just get together already. How stinking cute is that? I will cherish this book. This book gave me the vibes of when I first started watching Gilmore Girls. I could hear the la 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 in my head reading this book, and that is not a joke. I really enjoyed it. I really liked it, and this is your sign. If you see negative like reviews about a book and you're still intrigued by it, pick it up. You may just find a new favorite book. I also gave that book a 4.25 as well, before I forget to mention that. And then the last book that we are ending this video off with is Twilight. Could you see this coming from a mile away? Probably. If you watched my last video, 100%. But here we are. Without a shadow of a doubt, this is a 5-star read from me. In 2024, Twilight, which was written, I believe, in 2006? 2005. This was written in 2005. And I still gave it a 5-star. I know. Before anybody gets too excited in the comments and is like, hello, that book's terrible. I know. I don't know what Stephanie Meyer put in this book, but it was just too good. Like, I found myself picking this book up on Halloween, reading half of it before the night of Halloween, and then just like continuing needing to know what is going on. And then Katie and I watched the movie. I was just obsessed. From that point forward, obsessed. New obsession. Well, maybe not on the scale that some of my obsessions are, but in case anybody wanted to know, I did pick up the box set of Twilight, and I have absolutely no regrets. None whatsoever. I am so excited to continue Twilight, and I will be continuing it very soon because I just need to know. I just need to know. I need more. I almost called him Elena. I need more Edward content. I need to just understand him more, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I don't know. If you want my full thoughts on Twilight, go watch my previous video because it was a roller coaster. That video is probably one of my favorites that I've done, like, book-wise. And it's just me talking about Twilight through half of it. So if you all like have a Twilight obsession and you want to hear somebody that's never read it before talk about it, go check out that video and see why I gave it a 5-star. With that being said, that is all of the books that I read in September and October. Again, not my best reading months. Could have read more. Still, for the most part, on track. I have 19 books left until my goal of reading 100 books in 2024, and I cannot fail because John, my fiance, challenged me to this at the very beginning of the year. I gotta do it. I just gotta do it at least one time. I need to read 100 books in a year. I need to feel that level of accomplishment of reading. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Helps out the channel, makes my heart smile. You know how it be around here. And yes, we are back for Sunday and Thursday uploads. I am trying to get out as many videos for you guys as possible throughout the rest of the year because my hope is minimal that we will reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, but it's still there. It is still there, and I would still like to reach that goal. So that being said, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I would love to have you here. I would love for you to be a part of the friendship and the community that we are slowly but surely building here on this channel. And also tap tap that post notification bell. I try to upload every Sunday and Thursday at 6 p.m. EST. That does not always happen, so be sure to tap that post notification bell so you'll be notified right when I upload a video. And also comment down below what we are reading currently, what you guys are reading currently. I am currently reading nothing. Nope. I'm reading a book. I'm reading Bewitched. I did pick it up for like a minute, but I haven't continued it. And honestly, right now, I want to read The Striker by Anna Huang. That just intrigues me. Every time I hear that it's about a football or soccer, it's soccer here in America, I want to read about that, and I want to read about a ballerina. Enough said. That's it. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.